5, get a reading of the Open Public Meetings Act, please.
Adequate notice of the time of this meeting was given under the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act and was posted and sent to the official designated newspapers in compliance with the law.
Roll call, please.
Secretary Davis.
Here.
Mr.
Here.
Dixon. Vice Chair Reynolds.
Here.
Chairman Stretches.
Here.
Mr. Fadden.
Here.
Mr. McGee.
Here.
And Mr. Clayton.
Here.
Then a motion to memorialize the minutes of August 25th. Your initials are listed if you can vote.
So moved. Second.
Secretary Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Yes.
Mr. Fadden.
Yes.
And Mr. Clayton.
Yes.
And approval of the 2026 calendar. I added some extra meetings. We're not going to use them all necessarily, but they're there if we need them. I figured just put them on ahead of time. So.
Famous last word.
Yeah.
We'll add on 8 more.
Yeah.
So get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second. Secretary Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds. Mr. Fadden.
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Mr. Clayton.
Yes.
And Chairman Stretches.
Yes.
And we're going to call the agenda. Lester Bianco, Elizabeth Smith, represented by Dustin Glass. In here. Second is Patrick and Denise Kelly, represented by Mr. Jackson. And then Riverwood LLC, also represented by Mr. Jackson. I do have an exhibit packet. It's mostly just photos. Let's see.
Can I have those on here, so I'll
As
hot
we
mics
go
tonight?
along, I don't know, Denise, do you want to mark them ahead of time before we start?
Or I don't, just because I don't know if I'll end up introducing all of them.
Oh,
Although
okay.
I think I will, but
Okay.
that's already added.
We'll enter as we go.
Good evening, everyone. Dustin Glass of the firm of the Padula Law Group. I'm here tonight representing Elizabeth Smith and Lester Bianco. We have an application for the board seeking bulk variance relief. I'll provide a brief introduction to the application. I have one of the homeowners, Ms. Smith, with me. I also have our engineer, as well as a planner, to go over what's being proposed. In essence, and what you've seen and what's been submitted, there's a proposal to reconstruct the deck, add a new ramp to the deck, add a pool and patio area, fencing around the same, and then to, I'll say, add a garage, but realistically to reconstruct a garage that existed there for many, many years. I won't get into it now, but I believe by the dictionary definition, and by dictionary I mean by your code definition, it might be an oversized shed in lieu of a garage. But what the goal was is to put back something similar as to what was there for many years, what was taken down under the assumption that it could have been rebuilt, understanding now that it couldn't. So there is a request for bulk variance relief related to the same. I believe as it'll bear out that in terms of the garage, it's not anything out of character for the neighborhood. What's being proposed is sensible upgrades to the premises, to the property, some of which are to take into account for a disabled family member who visits the property on a regular basis. Some of the bulk variance relief is also driven by the fact that this is a corner lot, which because of that, corner lots have 2 front yards. I know not breaking news there, but it's the reality of the lot. And most of you are probably familiar because this is only 2 blocks away or so. As of now, I believe there are 7 variances being sought with the application. For the side yard setback for the garage, or shed, depending on how you want to call it. The pool equipment setback, a front yard setback on St. Louis Avenue, building coverage, impervious coverage for the fence, for the 6-foot fence, and like I said, that is it pending what the board's determination is regarding the shed or otherwise. I believe what you're going to see here is a design that takes into account, like I said, you know, the lot itself and the goals of the homeowner, which is again to upgrade what is a deck that's over 36 years old or so, and a ramp that's 25 or 24 years or so old. So with that, I would like to swear my first witness, Elizabeth Smith.
Sure. 1 second. Do we have any idea what's causing the that, because I might run face first into a wall.
It sounds like almost music.
I think it's, I borrowed the court microphones. I think that's what's going in actually.
Whatever it was, I just don't want it anymore.
I actually agree. It sounds like it's gonna
If this is the few seconds of suffering in order for it to go away. Ah, you did it.
Yay, look at me.
I believe so.
Waiting for Jimi Hendrix riff in there.
Would change
So
things
much
a
for
little.
good audio.
Now you can get sworn in.
Okay. Can I try again? Do you swear affirm a testimony you'll give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Just state your name. Elizabeth Smith.
Ms. Smith, you are one of the owners of the property, correct?
Correct.
And when did you purchase the property?
Over 15 years ago.
And what is the use of the home? Primary home, second home?
Currently a second home, but we spend quite a bit of time there. I work remotely part of the time, and, you know, eventually it will be our retirement location and be our full-time home.
So it's in your forever plans, in
Yes.
essence? And you and your husband are the primary tenants?
Yes.
Who else uses the home besides the two of you?
My family and my husband's family come down regularly, probably every other week. And Lester's brother had a stroke about 3 years ago, and is in a wheelchair. So while we bought the house with a ramp, because the the people we bought the house from, she was in a wheelchair. Unfortunately, now we have a similar situation. I'm loud. I don't need a microphone. I can be loud. So we need a ramp now, unfortunately, for that situation. And while Michael lives currently with his parents, Lester's
Folks, I'm
parents.
sorry, we gotta keep it down the back, court reporter needs to be able to type.
Lester's parents are in their 80s. Eventually, Michael will come and live with us, so he'll be with us full-time at the house.
Okay, thank you. And now the current deck and ramp, it's not new, is it?
No, it wasn't new when we bought it, and we haven't done anything to it in 15 years.
Okay. And would you say the current layout is not optimal, it's a little difficult to get around?
Yeah, the ramp actually, I think, is probably not ADA compliant. I guess it's probably not long enough, so it's a little steep for Michael to use by himself without assistance. And then the deck is, falling apart, the way wood falls apart, so it needs to be replaced.
Okay, and with that, I'd like to introduce A1. Is this, you say this is a picture of the deck in its current state?
Yes.
So just, like I said, this is the deck currently, and in the middle, that's where a tree used to exist?
That was a tree that grew up was in the middle of the deck, but it was, dead would be an understatement. They had, the inside of, it was hanging on by a thread.
That's what I heard, it was rotted out.
Yeah.
Mildly.
Excuse me one moment, Dustin, we'll start with A3 for the exhibit, the application's A1 and
Oh,
the
okay,
plans are
A3 then,
So
alright.
this will be A3.
Right, you said something. So I guess this would be A4. What I have here, was this an existing, picture of the existing ramp?
Yes.
And are the slats kind of out of place and
Yeah, because they're falling.
A4, again, is a picture of the side of the existing ramp. Now, currently on the property, there is a cement slab in the rear, is that correct?
Yes.
And there used to be a garage there?
Yeah, that's exactly where the garage was.
Okay.
That's the floor of the old garage.
I have here a Google image from 2013. Would you say this accurately represents the garage as it existed at the time?
Yeah.
So again, that is what existed before. What's being proposed now, as we'll get into, we believe is slightly smaller, but generally, similar as much as possible. And what would be the purpose of the garage, I guess an indoor shed area?
I mean, mostly storage.
For a variety of items around the house, for the beach and things of that nature?
Yeah.
You would not use it for motor vehicles, correct?
Unless we got a much smaller car, or a current car wouldn't fit in there, but a regular, I guess a regular kind of small sedan might fit in there, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, for your purposes, you don't intend to do it?
No.
Okay. Turning up, so, and then, so again, what you're proposing, is to add a pool for an area of, I guess, of relaxation, and the fencing around there, what's the purpose of a 6-foot fence in your mind?
Privacy, safety, mostly privacy.
Actually, I'm sorry. I have some renderings here, just, and we'll get into these a bit later with the engineer, but these are generally what's being proposed, correct?
Yes.
So thank you. I have nothing further for you. I don't know if there's any questions from board members for this witness.
When was the garage removed?
Around COVID.
And actually, if I may on that, when the garage was removed, did you intend to remove it forever, or you intended to rebuild it?
No, we thought we could rebuild it, and then we found out that we couldn't just put it back up. So then we knew we were gonna do this project, so it made sense to then put everything in the same application versus trying to just come in for a variance for the garage, since we were gonna do the whole project anyway. So we just took everything that was in the garage and put it in a storage unit, waiting, to get the whole project fully approved.
And that's where things are now in a storage unit?
Yes.
Okay. And again, so it wasn't, although you removed the garage, you did not intend to remove it forever?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
What other witnesses do you have that might help me formally?
Oh, sure. Engineer and a planner.
I'm good then. I don't know, anybody else have any questions of this witness? No? Anybody in the public have any questions of the witness? Please call your next.
Thank you very much. With that, I'd like to call our engineer.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear affirm the testimony you'll give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your name, please?
Scott Lynn, LynnDSH.
Now, Mr. Lynn, if you could please provide the board with your education and experience, please.
Sure. 37 years experience as a civil engineer in the state of New Jersey. Although I have not appeared before this board, I have appeared before many boards in the state of New Jersey.
Can you just name a few words?
Sure. Ocean Township, for example, Hillsborough Township, Bridgewater Township,
Okay.
Lakewood.
We accept.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So please, tell us a little bit what you did for this application. You prepared the site plan, correct?
I did.
Yeah. Is this the site plan you prepared that's up on the screen as of now and on the easel?
Yes, it is.
Could you describe a little bit of the existing conditions of the property as it exists today?
Sure. So currently there's about just under a 1,900 square foot house, which includes an existing front porch and, as Dustin represented earlier, a deck that is falling down, an older deck. As Elizabeth also stated, that there was also a garage at one point in time on the rear property. The property is in the SF5 zone. The minimum lot size in that zone is 5,000 square feet. We do meet the minimum lot size at 6250. The minimum frontage is 50 feet. We do meet that frontage along Atlantic Avenue, and the minimum depth size is 125 feet. We also meet that requirement at, or it's 100 feet, and we exceed that at 125 feet. Currently, the maximum building coverage in that zone permitted is 30%. Right now, with the existing house, we're at 37.36, so it's already a non-conforming existing condition, just merely based on the house. It is my knowledge that no additions have been put on that house, probably since it was built. I'm suspecting by the looks of the house, it was probably built maybe in the
1905.
1905, yeah. Probably predates the zoning ordinance, I would suggest. The lot is basically level and characteristic. It's a classic older neighborhood lot with a classic older type home. Anything else?
And it's a corner lot, correct?
It is a corner lot.
And as such, it has 2 front yards?
Correct.
So that will, and we'll get into, that'll drive some of the relief being requested?
Yes.
Okay.
I should mention that the part of the variances that Dustin did mention are for the 2 front yard variances. Okay, the minimum required is 25 feet. This house, again, is a pre-existing non-conforming at 15.54 feet off of Atlantic Avenue and about the same, if I recall correctly, off of St. Louis Avenue. So we just can't meet that 25 feet.
Now, if you could discuss a little bit what is being proposed and what's shown on the site plan.
Certainly. So right now, where the existing deck primarily is along St. Louis Avenue, that deck is proposed to be removed in an effort to accommodate the disabled person who recently, family member who had a stroke. It also includes the construction of a ramp, which would come in off of St. Louis, and that ramp is an ADA compliant ramp up to the proposed deck, which, as you can see on the rendering on the TV monitor here, that deck extends down St. Louis, if you will, and then across the back of the house. There is a pool that's being proposed. The pool is a 14 by 29 foot pool with patio surrounding the pool. There's 8 feet of patio proposed on the St. Louis side and 4 feet around the remaining side of the pool. And of course, the proposed reconstruction of what was once a garage.
Now, with respect to the deck, could you discuss a little bit how it'll be permeable to a degree?
Yes, so your ordinance does permit an allowable 50% impervious coverage for a deck, provided that that deck is built in a certain manner. That manner would be spaces between the actual decking material, which there's going to be, with a permeable surface below the deck. There's a note on the plan, I think it's note number 5, which states that the surface below the deck would be of a non-permeable surface, such as a stone, something like that. It certainly wouldn't be a hard surface that would create more additional impervious coverage. So we did count the deck as 50% in accordance with the ordinance. Also, the pavers around the pool are also classified as 50%, as they will be permeable pavers, meaning there are gaps between the paver blocks themselves, and the material underneath the block would permit drainage through the block into the ground, thus a 50% impervious coverage rate on that as well.
So, Sean, right?
Yeah, it's 50%.
So, is that why your figures in the letter and these figures are so different in terms of proposed?
I know we had,
You have proposed building coverage at 48.9 and they have it at
building and coverage encompasses basically everything except for the pool and the patio. So all that other coverage would be building, so that's how we got to that number.
So, and your number is, you're saying 40?
No. I think we're consistent on the actual building coverage. The deck does count as building coverage.
And we're seeking the relief for the numbers in the board engineer's review letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. And also the impervious coverage, Sean's report does mention that the impervious coverage is at 51.35%. So we're about 84 square feet over in impervious coverage, thus creating the variance.
Now, with respect, again, just to go back on it, with the proposed garage or shed, as such as, you know, visually, I would submit it, it looks like a garage, but in your, if it is a shed, there is, it would be an oversized shed, is that correct?
I suppose, yes.
And to the extent the board considers it, we would seek the relief associated with the same.
Correct. While we're on that issue, I know Sean's report did want an explanation as to why I believe the previous site plan had a setback of 0.23 feet or so. Now we're showing a 1.57 foot required setback for the garage. We did go out and redo the survey in its entirety as part of this application, and our new survey, which was prepared and submitted, I believe, compared to 1016, that was, that survey indicates that the rear yard setback, Sean, is at 157 versus the old
Okay.
survey, 0.23. I just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
that. I know it's a
that's fine.
question in the report.
And I think that's a good, I guess if we could take a few moments and go through the report, at least as it pertains to the engineering comments.
So, real quick on the garage, is there a curb cut there on St. Louis?
There is.
There is?
There's an existing curb cut that did predate the removal of the garage, and I believe there was probably a driveway at one point in time.
Is there gonna be one now?
No, there's not.
So, doesn't that get into the criteria of what makes it a garage or a shed? Because you
Yes.
can't park a car in it, and get a car to it, and all that kind of fun
Yes,
stuff?
I'd definitely say it's an oversized shed, because there's no, I mean, it's 12 by 16, so unless it's a smart car, you can't really fit a car in there. And there is a curb cut, but there's no proposed driveway to it, and it's gonna be fenced off. I think they may have a gate, but it's still fenced off with no driveway.
Correct, there'll be a gate, but yes, to your point, no driveways proposed there.
Okay.
Okay, so if we could just go through, I guess if you could go through, I don't think we have to touch on the pre-existing nonconformities, but with regard to the proposed variances, number 4, if you could just run through those quickly.
I think I probably addressed most of them.
Then actually, so, I think actually, 6, I need that. Drainage, if you could just touch on drainage, we'll be required to submit for grading and drainage review, there's no issues there, correct?
That's correct. In fact, we are providing a small dry well to handle any backwash or runoff from the pool itself.
So, going back to 4C, is there any reason we can't put the pool equipment in a place?
That's a good question.
Well, it's
Yeah.
almost a statement. Because it can go right up against the side of the garage, right under where, if the garage is allowed to go back in, right under where the number is 1.57 there, and be in that corner over there and be 5 feet off and be compliant. And we usually don't like just come up with sticking things in setbacks and saying, we're starting fresh, let's put it in the wrong place.
That seems.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah, it'd just be relocating the pool filter.
So I don't, you're gonna have to explain explain it to me then. I don't really understand what you're suggesting.
I believe the answer is
Yeah,
yes.
we
Yeah,
could.
yeah. So that's one piece that I was looking at. The other one is, the fence that runs along the ramp, that's 6 foot too?
Yes, it is,
All the way?
all the way.
So why do we wanna go past the end back of our house and create that variance? Why wouldn't we just have a compliant height fence there?
That would be a question for the homeowner as well.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to
No, it's
follow,
fine.
but I'm not following. I'm
Okay.
happy to
No,
answer any question.
Believe me, we look at
But-
this all the time and quite all right.
What they're referring
Yeah.
to, Elizabeth, is this portion of fence right here that is proposed to be 6 feet along with this gate. What they're suggesting is that this fence be compliant with the ordinance.
So you can only come to the back of your house. So there's a line there where the back of your house, right there where his pen is, equals the back of the house. That's where a 6-foot fence is allowed to come to.
Well, here, this, they're requesting that this fence here be a 4-foot fence.
With the fence by the pool would remain 6 feet.
I don't understand.
You got that?
Yeah.
So, speak over there. So this blue line will remain a 4-foot fence. Right there. This would remain as a 6-foot, and this would be a 4-foot fence.
Only the area by the deck if you look up on the screen.
Is that this section of fence right here?
Only that.
I don't even know how that would work considering where the deck is. Like, the deck is not on the ground. The deck is raised, cause the house is not, like, you have to come up several stairs to get in the house, and the back deck is not, like, at ground level, the back door. So, I don't know, do you have somewhere that says how high the deck is off the ground?
Yes. So the deck is.
I mean, then I wouldn't need to have a, like, right, I need to have a railing on the, like, I just don't know how it all ties together. If I'm gonna have a 4-foot fence here,
Yeah.
and then my deck has railing up here, like, it's gonna just look terrible.
The top of the fence will be equal with about, within a couple inches of the deck itself.
Scott,
Yeah, but
I think then it would be,
I mean, I
just
also
wanna
don't know
clarify
how I
One at a
come
time,
down.
one at
Hold
a
on,
time.
hold on, go ahead, Sean.
So I just wanna clarify, 3 feet is allowed in the front yard per ordinance, 4 feet in side yard, 6 in rear.
You're right. Correct. So we.
Understand, we're dealing with the fact that you're putting a deck in a front yard, so, you know, that's not even, that's still debatable. And then as we're trying to eliminate a lot of your variances, so when
I
we're
just,
putting.
to understand that deck has been there for.
Okay, but it's coming down.
Long before I bought the house,
Yeah,
or not, I guess, I mean.
Yeah, well,
no, I just think they're just saying, it'll eliminate one of the variances being sought if that portion of the fencing drops. then we can-
I understand, I just don't know how we make that look attractive, being that where the deck is and just makes,
Is there a fence there now?
no.
Okay, so we'd have a nice decorative 3-foot high
Yeah.
fence along there. It would certainly look.
but I don't, I have, it's going to look terrible. That's the reality of it, it's there's
Well,
gonna
then
be
don't
a
put any
6
fence
foot.
there like it is now. Right now, there's no fence by
There
your
are
deck.
there is, but, okay, so how do, there's no way for me to tie into where the ramp has to be to make it ADA compliant, and that, like,
Hang on, just
just,
one
What-
second.
what- May I make
The
a,
ramp and the fence aren't touching one another.
Correct. Here.
I know.
may I make a
I'm
suggestion?
looking at the drawings.
That's sort of a compromise, if you will. We do not do a full height 6-foot fence. I understand the ordinance is 3 feet, but if we were to at least go to a 4-foot fence and match the bottom of the deck, would that,
The board will have to weigh that.
yeah.
I don't know, I think it's going to look terrible.
Okay, but I don't think.
I
they're
understand
listening.
that, but I also, like, I'm now trying to sit here and visualize what that's going to look like, and I really would, to sort of just say, I'm gonna commit to that and not know what it's gonna look like visually is really hard.
I understand. I
To
think
do.
the board's just providing us with
And I
some feedback.
Hear that, but I just,
Ms. Smith, if I may ask you a couple of questions.
sure,
So there's no fence there now in front of the deck?
no,
Okay. You use the deck currently?
sure.
So if you sit out there, you mentioned before in your testimony that the reason you wanted a 6-foot fence was privacy.
Mhm.
Okay. So you don't currently have that benefit of privacy now. And
No.
now we're saying in order to help you eliminate a variance, you would have a decorative fence, but it wouldn't be a privacy fence. It really changes nothing for you.
So.
Does that make sense?
It does, but let me caveat that with, when we bought the house, this is how it was structured. And since we've lived there, we have I don't know what to call it across the street from us, single room, whatever.
More commercial stuff, but
Where they rent rooms, and the cops are there on a regular basis. And we love our house, and we love being here, but that across the street from us has caused us to design this in a very specific way. So, while I agree with you, we haven't had it, there is a real reason we're asking for that level of privacy.
So, I mean, Ben could elaborate, but it's just not relevant to zoning decisions, and we don't have police reports, and we don't, please
Well,
step in.
even if we did,
Step in.
even if we did, we really can't consider that, because that is a police issue, whether it's a nuisance issue, or noise, or visual, because theoretically, you have to look as a board at the property from a zoning perspective.
Yeah.
As to, you know.
And looking at this from a board with a zoning perspective, you're asking for a whole lot of stuff right now, and it's a difficult case. So I wouldn't be trying to hold on to things that aren't really key, because there's a lot here.
no, and
When
the
you're
board's
coming
trying
at
to work with us.
48% building coverage, 51%, you know, we're.
Yep, and it's appreciated, and the board, I understand, and
I think at the end of the day, we understand that we designed this house in a very specific way for the reasons that you just said, but we designed the house in a lot of different facets in ways that are not allowed, which is why you're here.
Yeah,
So
correct.
I
So, yeah.
understand you want that fence that doesn't currently exist, but the height of the fence that you want isn't allowed. So we're trying to help you on a pathway to an approval. But that fence is not.
There's reasons that we don't want 6-foot fences running down whole sides of corner lot properties, and that's why those.
So, well,
Go ahead, go for it.
doesn't run the whole way down the property.
Well, it
No, I'm
runs
ju-
almost to the front.
I
No,
understand, and
no,
I'm
you don't-
I'm
no,
happy to
I'm
answer
talking.
good
Hold on,
questions.
ma'am. I'm still talking, and I will run the meeting. So if you want to continue to argue, that's not going to work out well for you. I understand how far it runs. It runs well beyond the back of the house. And there's rules that we have to prevent that. And just because you want it doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to happen. So we're giving you some alternatives to that. But if you want to hang on to it, we're going to vote at the end of the night. So if you want to keep the 6-foot, just say to your lawyer, I'm not willing to move off of that. Simple.
Great, are you done?
Yeah, I am.
So, just because I thought you were asking me a question, just wanted to be clear that it only runs to the middle of the house. I understand it runs past technically the back of the house, but it does only run to the middle of the house, not all the way down St. Louis. So, can I take my pictures? You can finish doing what you're doing, and I will look at the pictures and see if I can, like, visually figure out how that might work.
You want to continue, or does anyone on the board have any other questions right now?
Yeah, I have a few questions.
Okay.
obviously, the building coverage, as the chairman said, is a major issue here. I know you guys keep calling this a garage, but this is never a garage. I mean, she said they haven't had anything since after Sandy. So, they're saying they need it for storage, well, they haven't needed it for storage for 13 years, so why would somebody need it for storage? If you got rid of that, that would probably help your building coverage quite a bit. It's an oversized shed. It's not a garage. It's an oversized shed. And you guys gotta talk to your client. I'm not designing their house for them. So maybe you wanna talk to her about maybe get rid of that because you're way over building coverage. And you gotta figure out something to get it closer to what it's supposed to be.
If I might make a suggestion, you know, the board's given the applicant some good feedback here. It's a lot of moving parts, and I could appreciate, you know, there's a lot of redesign conversations going on, and trying to visualize that from the applicant's perspective, I can understand it is difficult to navigate, you know, when you don't do that for a living or do it consistently. Perhaps carrying and adjourning this matter to kind of have a little bit of time without the pressure to, you know, look at the plan and look at some different options and what that would look like, and maybe prioritizing what's the most important might not be a bad idea.
Sorry, I didn't go. I was just gonna say, if I could just take 2 minutes with my clients before I.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I was on like pool accessories and fence.
Mhm.
We started now getting into 48%, you know, we started getting into the meat of things. There's a lot here to unpack, right? So, yeah, I would take the
What was it?
2 minutes.
I was gonna say, if maybe if the board had any other, few other
Yes, of
comments,
course.
maybe.
Is there any other pieces to the puzzle anyone wants to, voice?
Now, I guess.
No, they were asking about, if they do get rid of the approved, regular size shed there, get rid of that slab, you could probably eliminate most of that setback issue with both the pool accessories and the shed. Because the shed doesn't, a normal size shed doesn't need a 12 by 16 concrete pad. So you'd be eliminating some impervious, some building coverage, and some setback issues.
Getting it in the right place, right?
Close to it, everything close to it.
All right, go ahead, we'll recess for a few.
Glad I added them to some of the dates, because I'm already sure.
It said it takes 30 days.
I'm already
Yeah.
supposed to
Here
come
it
back.
is.
Yeah.
But we
What's
told
it
the
like?
29th.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, so it has to, you're gonna get used to it, put it down, put it down.
Just remember the mics are on.
I can,
We got 2 viewers.
I can still acknowledge that I was yelled at.
We're running hot here. Let's talk co-op.
Yeah, let's talk linkage to the.
You have any kids back there?
Doing good, thanks.
Yeah, you and I have done this.
just in case you have any construction problems, here's my phone number. I'll send you the picture.
Two other applications, and Daly and Alachenko never stop talking.
Yeah.
What about Jackson?
And we're pulling that out of the air for that, so it's special. And that's what's in, what you're giving us a special time.
Good day. I'm good. Ready to go. Reopen the meeting, get a roll call, please.
Secretary Davis?
Yes, here.
Mr. Dixon?
Here.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Here.
Chairman Stratches?
Here.
Ms. McFadden?
Here.
Mr. McGee?
Here.
Mr. Clayton?
Here.
We spoke to the applicant, the applicant's willing to concede getting rid of the fence in that front area, that we were, here. Here that you were referring to, and then just, it'll tuck in here in some fashion, and then to make the shed.
Well, not getting rid of the fence, but making it
Sorry, making it
compliant with a
compliant, that's what I
3-foot high
meant.
fence.
And then tucking it in there, sorry, misspoke. And then, what they could put a shed, you wanna point it out?
So, I think the owners have agreed that they would effectively can the proposed garage shed, as we're calling it today, and go with a compliant shed that would meet the setback requirements of 10 by 10. And then that would also provide the room to better position the filter and reduce the impervious coverage. That would bring us just below the required variance, put us under the 50% versus the 51.35, so we would eliminate that variance. We would eliminate the variances for the proposed garage setbacks. And we're not gonna get under the building coverage. That's a pre-existing condition, but it'll help by eliminating approximately 100 square feet.
So maybe we should recalculate the building coverage, because that's pretty high as it stands right now in your proposal.
Sure.
Two numbers, if you could. So I know the deck is gonna be permeable, right? It's gonna be slats, and then below at the surface will be a permeable surface.
Correct.
So if you could just, what the building coverage of the home proper is without the deck, I would just like to know that figure, as well as the overall new figure with the new shed.
Certainly. So, okay. that would bring.
The shed.
The shed.
No, I also
That's
asked
for
for,
Oh, sorry,
for that
yeah.
property,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, eliminating the deck completely, counting it as 50%, right? We would be at 26.4%.
So that much high of a percentage of it is the decking, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, taking into consideration too, that it's a relatively small lot, it's only 50 square feet, so the percentages, of course, are higher.
Okay,
Now,
and then you're just gonna give us the overall with the new
correct.
shed size.
So right now, the existing shed garage that's being proposed is 190 square feet. If we went down to a 10 by 10, 100, we'd eliminate that 90 square feet. That would literally put us right at 49.97%, just below the required variance.
I checked that, that's what I have as well, 49.9.
For impervious?
Yeah,
Yes.
the shed
And
is-
what's the 90 in the new building coverage? I know it doesn't take a lot out of that, 48 or whatever. What's that?
So based on eliminating the deck altogether? or
No, no.
The proposed deck? you want?
Just what it's gonna be when we're
Sure,
done here.
yeah. 300,
Mr. Chairman, did you just wanna know what it would be if the building coverage would be, if we went from 16 by 12 to 10 by 10?
Yeah.
I got 47.46%.
47.46.
Yeah, I had some 47.5, so that's, what,
Same thing.
same thing.
And we're saying,
Because the deck
The
doesn't
deck
change
is-
at all.
right.
Yeah,
That-
assuming
that
the deck
counts
was staying
as-
the same.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other questions right now from the board on anything? You've heard some of the things that they have modified, fencing and shed and setbacks, got under impervious, moved the filter. Do you wanna continue on with anything else that you guys have in the letter, or anything
Yeah, I
else
don't
you wanna
know if
state?
there was anything else in the letter. Scott, do you have anything else to add? If not, I will turn you loose.
We do not.
One quick question.
Yes,
Scott. So how much room is there from your property line to the edge of that patio? Is there 15 feet there?
Whereabouts, Sean?
From,
If we're saying we're gonna put a 10 by 10
Oh,
shed in,
here?
5 feet off the property line to comply, that doesn't impact the whole of the patios?
No, it would not.
Okay.
Sean, one other number, because you seem quick with the numbers again. Just what is the deck itself in terms of the 47?
I have the deck at 987 square feet, so at 50% would be 493.
And the percentage of that 47?
7.9% the building coverage.
So that gets you down to about what's existing there. Is that,
Oh, yeah, that concludes, yeah.
let me just make sure as the board doesn't have any other.
Yeah, I have another question. On the St. Louis side, the existing is 6.13.
correct,
You guys wanna make it to 3.1,
correct.
to the deck.
To the deck and the ramp, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically what's happened, can you flip it over?
Yeah. Sure, page change.
The rest, this. feet. Part of, part of, part of what we're seeing here is the 3-foot ramp that is going to come in from St. Louis. This ramp goes up to the deck. So even though it's a deck, it's really not part of the deck, other than being a ramp itself, except for the turning area, which is just at the end of the ramp.
Like I said, I don't wanna redesign your house or anything, but you already have an encroachment on that setback, making it even worse. And I know, I understand you want the deck, and you want the ramp because of the disabilities. Any thought of, like I said, I don't wanna keep redesigning the place for you, but any thought of having that ramp up against the, front porch on the St. Louis side instead of extending that deck out even further than it is? Because it'd be probably going another 2 feet.
Where exactly?
Where does it?
Right here. Have it come along here to the deck instead of coming this way.
At a certain point, it's just ugly.
Who's talking?
Sorry.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you can't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Bring it this way. I think the accessibility to that ramp, not to contradict what you're saying, but off of St. Louis, there is gonna be a gate here, and a platform to access the pool and to go up the ramp. If the ramp were to come this way, so it really serves two purposes. Number one is to get from the finished floor deck area down to the pool itself.
Oh, that's the porch also.
Sorry?
You're drawing the enclosed porch area.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so what he's suggesting is that the ramp be configured so it comes this way. But that doesn't accomplish, I don't think, what the purpose of the ramp really is, and that would be to, get the wheelchair down to the pool itself as well. So it serves two purposes.
Anyone else on the board have any engineering questions? You guys all good with anything? Anyone in the public have any questions of this witness?
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Now I'd like to call our planner.
Hi, good evening, Ms. Green. Do you swear affirm the testimony you'll give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. Good evening, my name is Barbara Allen, A-H-L-E-N. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey and an AICP. I've worked with Beacon Planning since 2008 and have worked my way up to principal. I've been accepted as a planner throughout the state of New Jersey. I currently serve as the board planner for the Township of Livingston in the Borough of Freehold and act as redevelopment consulting planner for the city of Bayonne, the Borough of Carteret, and also the Borough of Freehold.
I think that works pretty good.
Go
right ahead. We accept.
Thank you. Lisa, what did you do to prepare for today's hearing?
In order to prepare for this evening's hearing, I've visited the site, I reviewed the master plan and your ordinances, I reviewed the plans, and as well as the review letters from your professional. If I just may?
Sure, go ahead.
Alright, I went old school and I printed out copies, because I like to be able to flip through things, and I feel like you would like to be able to flip through things as well. So I was gonna introduce this as an exhibit. It's a package of photos. I'm gonna go all high school anyway, so you gotta pass along.
So this would be A6?
A6, we're up.
So some of the photos will not be as relevant because has, proposed changes of this evening. So,
Proceed.
the first, page is an aerial of the subject property, and the property is outlined in yellow. So the property itself is actually, almost like a transitional property. To the north of it is a school and a religious use. To the south is actually a multi-family building. And to the east is, as was previously described, as some sort of commercial use. It's just labeled as commercial use on the local tax records. And yes, to the west is a single-family home that is also improved with a pool and accessory uses. So this is just to give you an immediate idea of the neighborhood. The second page is subject property, existing deck. So that is the deck as it currently stands. As you previously saw, there was a tree in the middle of it. I do want to note that the deck was originally constructed or received approval in 1988, and the ramp was approved in 2001. So the deck and the ramp were kind of hodgepodge together. It wasn't necessarily an efficient layout, but it was the way that they could get a ramp onto the deck. The next photo is the Google Street View that you previously saw of what the garage used to look like. And the following photo is what that currently looks like. I do note that the adjoining structures are also proximate to the property line. But again, we are proposing a conforming shed at this point in time. And you can skip over the next, there's more for that. 401 Jersey Avenue, this is the property immediately adjoining ours to the south. It is a multifamily property. And then the following photo, 318 Atlantic Avenue, that is actually what is across the street. So if you stand with the deck behind you on our subject property and look straight across, you're going to see a 6-foot fence, and you're going to see the home that's only set back maybe a couple of feet from the property line. And what's important to also note along this portion of St. Louis Avenue is no home fronts along this portion. It's everyone's side yards. So it's not the same visual intrusion as, let's say, if our neighbors were oriented front and matched the 25-foot setback, and then we're requesting the deck towards the front. The following two photos, I did not drive and mark every home in your beautiful community, but there are examples of corner properties that, yes, they may not have been permitted the 6-foot fence, but they put up the hedges that were taller and provided and proved to provide the same function. So that's the next two photos. So it's just something to keep in mind that although corner properties are only permitted 6-foot fences from the back forward, community members have kind of fudged that a little bit with hedges to provide that same sort of privacy that the applicant is seeking.
Not supposed to do as well.
But they do. So it is a visual part of what contributes. Going through, and now that we're all oriented, the subject property, yes, is a corner lot. It's located in the SF5 district, and single-family homes are permitted. Also permitted are sheds, pools, decks, typical accessory structures for a single-family home. The variances that we are seeking, I am actually going to go through those as I go through their criteria. I'm going to skip forward a little bit. I went through a description. I just wanted to touch back on the existing deck. So the home dates to about 1900 or 1905, and as was described, it is an existing structure. It's already over on lot coverage, building coverage. In August 18th, 1988, the borough's Board of Adjustment actually granted variance relief to permit the deck where it is currently. So although the home predates current existing zoning, the deck was specifically permitted in the current location. With respect to the handicap ramp, a separate resolution approved same in 2001 and stated that the construction of the handicap ramp promotes the general welfare by providing reasonable access for the handicapped. So the same is being proposed this evening. It is a revised configuration, and the ramp is actually more conforming with regards to accessibility standards.
Since it is a longer ramp, it provides a better slope for those who utilize the same. As I previously discussed, the original construction of the deck actually considered a tree in the center of it. And then added on the ramp afterwards. So it wasn't necessarily efficient, it was just a way to make it work. The deck and the ramp are both in deteriorating condition. So the application this evening is, yes, seeking to reconstruct the deck and the ramp, and to allow it to be, the ramp to provide better access, but also allow access around the deck. So instead of having, a small table and chairs, and then the person in the wheelchair can't maneuver around it, they're seeking a little bit of additional space so that the deck can both be functional in two ways, for the family to enjoy and for the disabled family member to navigate. The proposed in-ground pool is located south of the structure. The majority of the pool patio is actually approximately 4 feet wide around its northern, western, and southern perimeters, and that is, typically I actually see it as a safety, so that people can get in and out of the pool around all its perimeters and not create mud or things like that. Lord knows I can't pull myself out of a pool right now, but I believe other people can. And I went through the character of the neighborhood. With respect to the master plan, you are seeking to allow reinvestment in residential homes. And then what is proposed is permitted and envisioned within the ordinance as they are customary accessory uses. And with respect to restrict impervious surface coverage, we are respecting that standard, and as well as providing a dry well to handle the pool backwash. The 2015 reexamination report recommended for corner lots, the required front yard setback should be reduced on the functional side yard of the building. And that is what is being reflected this evening. With respect to municipal land use law, I opine that it promotes an efficient use of the property, as it does allow the deck and the ramp, and that ramp specifically to both service as an egress from the home and the deck, as well as an access to the pool area. And to promote a desired visual environment as the improvements, the existing deck is deteriorating. With respect to the bulk variance relief sought, I would find there are two. There's, as we know, the C criteria, the C1, which is a hardship. In this instance, it is a corner lot where 25-foot front yard setback is required from both property lines. So the 25-foot setback would actually take up half the width of the property, limiting, and then another 5-foot setback from the other. So your envelope would only be 20 feet wide for this property. And now I'd like to walk you through the different variances. So the application, we are seeking a front yard setback along St. Louis Avenue for the deck. The home itself is actually in violation of the setback. It's 25 feet is required, and the home is only provides a 10.45-foot setback. So no matter what would be proposed, the deck would intrude into the front yard. As I discussed, the proposed deck provides safe egress and circulation for a disabled family member, while both providing functionality. The deck itself will provide enough area so that the disabled family member can utilize their wheelchair, while also providing functional space for the family, like a small seating area. With respect to the visual intrusions, as I previously showed you, the property directly to the east actually almost adjoins its own property line, so it's not the same visual intrusion. Again, all the homes along this portion of the roadway do not face along it. It's always their side yards. So building coverage, let me just make this 30% is permitted, where I have, you said 47.46?
Yes.
30% permitted where 47.46 exists, is proposed, and I have 41.7 existing. Is that correct?
Yes.
So building coverage a lot of times speaks about the visual over development of the property. So how big is this building looking? How much of space of it's taking over? But in this instance, the building coverage number is being driven by the deck. And the deck does not present the same visual intrusion as a home. It's not roofed, it doesn't have solid walls, it's lower in height, so it doesn't present the same visual intrusion along that roadway frontage than a home would. And so I understand the limit of a 30%, but it is not as though the home itself is being expanded and that visual would somehow overshadow the adjoining home to the west or visually impede the home or the commercial use to the east. And even the home to the south is actually a taller height and a multifamily. So although it does look like a big number, I understand that, it doesn't reflect what the actual visual intrusion will be. The deck itself is not going to be able to be a two-story home. Again, it is more, it's not at grade level, obviously, because the home steps up, but nor is it even like a 10-foot tall shed or anything along that nature.
Real quick, I'm sorry, could you have I may have missed it, the square footage of the existing deck?
I don't know if I have the existing one. 987 was the proposed deck. I'm trying to find that.
987? I'm sorry to interrupt, I just want to make sure I got this.
I understand.
And while that's being done, the ramp was approved by this board, you said 2000?
So the original deck was in 1988 and the ramp was in 2001.
Right, so the ramp is ADA compliant then, because ADA is 1990.
I'm not sure, I
I
cannot
would
speak.
imagine if it's inspected and ADA was 1990, then 2000.
I'm not sure how it applies to a single-family home, the regulations, because usually ADA is public
Got it.
accommodation.
Thanks.
And just while we're on that, I can, for exhibits, I guess it would be a 8. This would be the resolution from 1988 for the Board of Adjustment regarding the deck. And then A9 would be the resolution from 2001 concerning the ramp.
Does the resolution on the deck specify square footage?
That's a great question.
It does, but it doesn't include the ramp, just as a
What's the
caveat.
square footage on it?
463 is what the approval was for in 1988.
And the proposed is 90%?
Yeah, but I believe because of it being pervious, it's 50%, so 493.
Their plan calls out 244 feet as 50%, so that would be 488 feet existing, so they are approved for 463.
Because even with the 50%, we're in excess of what was approved in 1988.
Yes, but the prior deck was not envisioned to accommodate someone in a wheelchair. And the ramp, as I stated, was just kind of added on. It didn't necessarily have to meet ADA guidelines because it's not a public accommodation. So yes, the applicant is asking to expand the deck and the ramp to allow that functionality. I believe, and the last variance I have noted is fence height of 4 feet permitted in the side yard, where 6 feet is proposed, and I believe that's along the southern property line that adjoins that multifamily, that fence just extends out, that small portion from where the front yard would be. And that would obviously, it would be kind of visually weird to have a 4 foot and 6 foot, 6 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot along the front. So we just asked to keep that one section at 6 feet along the southern property line. With respect to substantial detriment, as I stated, stormwater, we are taking care of on site with the dry well. It's not to present any additional traffic, noise, or trash to the neighborhood. It is not as visually intrusive as a building would be, even though it is counted towards building coverage. Are there any questions that I can answer?
Anybody on the board?
I feel it's more of an architect question, but I'll ask it anyway. The deck along the back on the pool, that's a pretty large addition. Would we be better off just leaving, I keep squaring off the deck on the St. Louis Island you've got, but eliminating the back along the back of the house, the pool. That will eliminate some worry.
I believe, let me clarify one thing.
There are French doors at the back.
So there is
That
a-
deck just comes in front of the doors that come out from the back of the house.
So that's an existing egress point from the home along that, along the southern facade.
Which is existing, I assume.
The front, yes, existing egress
Right.
along the.
So there's no deck there now.
Is there, I have to look at the photos, I don't have it like off the top of my head.
No, not on the other side.
No, you're right, correct, there is not. So there would be, just be stairs down.
That would help my building coverage.
Yeah, you're talking about the portion of the deck where the fireplace is, right?
Yeah.
Like, just having it squared off with the corner of the house. So that whole section is what he's asking.
So, this area?
Yes,
All right.
Yeah, all that.
all the way across, yeah.
Okay.
There would still need to be a method of egress, so there would still be some coverage, there'd still be coverage associated with it. And the deck presents a 50% coverage instead of, say, stone stairs or things of that nature.
What's there now?
What is the one?
So I'm looking at,
Nothing here.
2-foot drop.
yeah, I'm looking
Oh.
at street view, it's just a drop off.
Apparently there's not safe
Doors
egress
to
currently.
no stairs and no deck,
So there's a door, no,
no egress, down, drop.
Anyone else have any other questions? Planning?
I don't know, I'm having kind of a radical thought right now, and it's not gonna go over too well. But that whole deck could potentially be redesigned at the back of the house if the pool was lost. But then there's no pool. But that would provide egress out those French doors, which I know exactly what you're talking about. I've walked by that house many times. And it's bizarre. There's these French doors and a drop, I think. Is there? Just
No other questions of the planner? Anyone in the audience have any planning?
I believe,
Sean?
Just wanna,
he looks like he has a question.
no question, just wanna clarify, so the variances requested are the front yard setback, the building coverage at 47.46, and for a 6-foot fence in the side yard, and you agree to eliminate everything else?
I believe that is correct.
That is correct.
Say
Alright, so the variances they're requesting, minimum front yard setback to the deck, the St. Louis, 3.1 feet where 25 feet is permitted. They're requesting variance for maximum building coverage of 47.46% where 30 is permitted. And they're requesting a 6-foot fence in the side yard where 4 feet is permitted.
And that's adjoining that, property to the south.
Anyone else on the board?
I wanna go back to what Jay was talking about, the back deck there. Right now, there's only like a small 32, 36 inch wide door that goes on to that. You go out the door, you make a left, it takes you onto the deck. Your photo we had earlier of the back of the house, can you put that back up there?
Street view? This?
No, you have a newer version what the back would look like.
Use your
What the
rendering.
Oh, the rendering.
The rendering, yeah.
Got it.
Back is right there.
Yeah.
You have two, I guess, French doors added on each side of the fireplace that don't exist there right now. To go onto that back deck.
No, they do exist.
They do exist.
Do it?
Do
They're
exist.
just in the air, there's nothing, no steps or anything?
Correct.
The plan was to put the
Okay,
deck.
you can't talk.
So if you open the door, you just drop right out?
Yes, technically, if you
When
open the
did
door,
when
you
were they
drop
put
right
in?
out.
When were they put in?
A couple of years ago.
So you put two French doors, swing out to go in the back, and you drop 3 feet down?
Currently, yes. With the
Sure,
plan
with no
always
permit
to
for that.
be,
The
to
town
the
would never allow, shouldn't have put, the building department never would allow that. Did you get a permit for that? They never allow you to build a doors, when you open it up, you fall down 3, 4 feet.
Can I be sworn?
No, well,
Yeah, you-
that's,
Would you,
that's
can I
up
be
to you.
sworn in?
I'll bring in, well, actually, does the board have any other questions for the planner? If not, I can bring in, Mr. Bianco to answer any other questions.
I'm okay.
so anyone in the audience have any planning questions? Okay, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Do you swear or affirm a testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
State your name.
Lester Bianco.
Mr. Bianco, you are one of the homeowners, correct?
Yes.
And you wanted to add something about the French doors on the rear of the home?
Right, so they are pre-existing, I would say 12 plus years that they've been there. We had somebody from the town came out, looked at it, and said it was fine.
There was no deck, anything there, no steps? Just-
Correct. There was he did some sort of measurement that said I don't know what the step would be, the step down. And he
Oh,
said.
he was anticipating you were gonna put steps there.
No, from where they are now, it's an 18 to 2 foot step, 18 inch to 2 foot step. Did you pull permits for it? I'd have to look, I would think so.
Any other questions? Anyone in the audience have any comments on the case? Questions, comments? And if you're gonna get sworn in, because you're gonna tell us all that you feel, come on up.
Hold on. Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm a testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your name and address.
Elizabeth Boyle, and my address is 402 Atlantic Avenue. Hello.
Hello.
So I am Lester's neighbor to the west, and I'm here just to voice my support for Lester and Elizabeth for their project. And so I have no issues with them doing this project. Any kind of variance you are willing to grant to them, I also have no objections to. So I just wanted to make sure that I came here and I stated that for you. And if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. If anyone has any questions?
Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you.
So, there's no one else from the public, anything, if you wanna sum up and then,
Yeah, well, if I may, is the board inclined to do a straw poll, or is that not something that you will? Okay.
No, but
There.
I do have one, if this were to be approved, I wanna make sure it's clear that the concrete slab
Yeah.
gets removed for proper sizing for the proposed shed.
Yes, that's
You can
agreed.
cover that.
Yeah, that's agreed. If it
Okay.
wasn't clear, it would be removed to make way for the compliant shed.
Thank you.
before deliberations, we'll go down Ben's list of conditions. So there was nothing more, so if you just wanna summarize, and
Sure.
then we're gonna deliberate.
Thank you very much. So I thank the board for its time and consideration. So again, the application is here, I can always render it up for a proposed deck, fencing and a pool, as well as for a shed. The applicants have made some significant concessions here. There are still variances being requested, but I would submit they are all appropriate given the proposal. You know, for adequate space of enjoyment, adequate means of ingress and egress, the ability to navigate the deck space for the occupants and inclusive of their disabled family member who will eventually reside there. And that the project fits in with the community. It's an attractive home as is. It'll be updated with additional what you see here so that it's a matching as well. So the fencing, the home with cedar shake, to make a nice finished product that will fit in with the community for many years to come. And with that, I have nothing further to add.
Okay. Engineering, I have one more.
Yep. Scott, come on down again.
I just, the numbers aren't numbering for me on the percentages that get us to 40%, because you said the house proper was 26.
I don't think we ever got down to 40%.
47, I'm saying.
47.
Is 47.46. Right, that's where we are.
47.
So you had said the house is 26, Sean had said the deck was 7, that's 33. Where's the next 13% of building coverage coming from?
There's the garage. I think the deck is way more than 7. That's,
Was the 1,800 square feet for the house including the enclosed porch?
yeah.
What'd you say the dwelling was?
Yeah, I think don't trust my math, but I think I know where the discrepancy is. The deck for building coverage purposes is, I'm looking at 15, almost 16%. The 7
Yeah.
would have been for the impervious, because they
But
get
it's only cut in half.
it's a 50%
Yes.
For impervious.
for impervious.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
building
it's
it's
15%,
100, almost 16.
16.
Correct.
Got it.
So then the total is 47?
I don't know, I would
it's
like
still
accurate breakdown from you, not from Sean, like what the house is and what the deck is.
Okay.
Because it's your case.
Absolutely.
tough on this figure, cause it's,
No, Joe, I
it's
understand.
a high one.
Look, I get it, and I understand the board's, need to get the numbers
To be
right.
very clear and
Yep.
understand how we're getting to this.
And to make sure.
Let everyone have an informed decision on what the house is, what the deck is, what the shed is, what the enclosed porch, how we're getting to a 47%, because,
Yeah, how it adds up.
yeah.
Understood.
Okay, so if you take the dwelling itself, including the front enclosed porch, that's 1872. The deck we're proposing at 788. These are all at 100% for building coverage, not impervious coverage. The ramp is 122, and what would be a shed would be 100 square feet. That total is 2880, or 46.08%. 46.08%.
And that 1872 is what, from a percentage point of view? Is that your 26 you gave before, or is it? I heard the planner say maybe that was 30 or something. What is that percentage?
That alone, just the house and the enclosed front porch is actually 29.95%.
So that's, we hit the mark right there with the house and the porch.
Left a couple months here.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate that. Nothing more to add
No,
to the
nothing, no,
closure after
I'm
that?
done at this point. You wanna ask, I'll answer, but I'm.
No, all
I'm
good.
done.
Ben, what do you got?
So for conditions, other than the usual conditions that are all identified in the engineer's report, we have a revision to the plan to bring the fence along the St. Louis Avenue side to the rear of the house, to a compliant fence. We're gonna have a amendment to the plan to eliminate the oversized shed to make it a compliant 10 by 10 shed. It's going to meet the setback requirements, with a notation that the slab will also be reduced to that 10 by 10 shed size. The pool filter will be relocated roughly in the location of the rear corner of that compliant shed, and that the pool filter will be in a compliant location and not require variance relief. And with those modifications, they are reducing impervious coverage to just under the 50% at 49.97%, so there would be no variance relief requested for that.
All right, get a motion to go into deliberations.
So moved.
All in favor?
Mr. Davis?
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is an application that presented a lot of concerns right from the get-go. We've had a lot of numbers worked over and some very concerning issues addressed. picture of the house, and I'm seeing the house as it was originally constructed and how an addition was put on here and then a later addition, so you keep adding living space, and then you're reducing outdoor living space. And now we're looking at an application that's primarily about outdoor living space, which I'm always a big proponent of. I think these are important aspects of life in general, and especially in this town. And so, with most of my concerns addressed pretty well, while I still have some concerns, there's a couple things that have been addressed nicely. The extension of the deck onto the east side of the house, the south side of the house, not only does it create some additional useful space, but it eliminates what I think we would all agree is a very weird and strongly safety concern issue of two doors that drop off the back of the house. The applicant has said he's quite certain that he got permits for it, so we're going to rely on his testimony as such. But regardless, this creates a much safer condition, I would think. While ADA is not necessarily coming to play on a residential structure, certainly changing the configuration of the deck to make it safer and easier for a handicapped person to utilize, I think makes a lot of sense. And the reduction of the 6-foot fence to a compliant fence in that area, while it may lose a little bit of privacy, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, and I think it adds for a little bit of justifying some of the requested variances. So with the things that have been done, I'm going to say that while this house and these variances are straight out to the very limit of what I think any of us would ever do, and the building coverage, of course, is still quite a lot of concern. I think overall, what remains makes sense from a zoning standpoint.
Dixon? Okay, I don't have an issue with obviously with the front yard setback on Atlantic. Nothing you can do about that. That's existing. The St. Louis Avenue side is pretty much existing. They're just expanding the porch a little westward, which will help out with the handicap ramp that they need. So I don't really have a problem with the St. Louis side. Where I do have an issue is with the shed in the backyard, and the deck at the back of the house. We're at 47% basically for the building coverage. The existing is 41. And I would like to see that number come down. I don't know, that question I had about the 2 French doors that open up to nothing, I don't believe you got permits for that. There's no way they will allow you to build that like that. So you just walk out a door and fall down 3 feet. That makes no sense to me. I think you were anticipating putting a deck there someday, and you want to already have the doors there. You said it was only been there for 3 years.
13 plus, I said.
I'm looking at a photo here, and it doesn't look like that big doors there. Maybe it's just the angle, I don't know. But I'm having a problem with the building coverage. St. Louis Avenue side, I don't have a problem with the deck. The fencing is fixed, and the shed adds to the building coverage. I mean, you haven't had a shed there, you said after Sandy, which has been 13 years. I don't see why it's needed now.
There's no yelling out anymore. We're done.
I don't see why it's needed now, 13 years later, and it just adds to the building coverage. That's my point so far.
Mr. Reynolds?
All right, first off, we are sympathetic to the corner lot issue. We've come across it now. One of my big points is impervious coverage, and we've gotten that down to 49. I am concerned with the building coverage a little bit. is decking. You know, again, sympathetic to the fact that we need a ramp for somebody that's had health issues. I'm real happy with some of the concessions we've made as far as the shed goes, the pool location. Do I wish that the back deck was a little smaller? I do, but it's not, I don't think it's gonna sway me on my vote when the time comes.
Ms. McFadden?
Yeah, you know, this is a big ask as far as the building coverage goes. But I understand a lot of the reasons why. There are the safety considerations and the wheelchair-bound relative. I really don't like all that building coverage. I really feel that things could have been configured differently here. I think I want to hear a couple more opinions before I decide.
Mr. McGee?
Yeah, the side yard setback or front yard setback on St. Louis, you know, it's 3.1 feet. I understand that there's a ramp to consider. I would have thought maybe incorporating the ramp into the deck and using less of the deck space for living space would have been a better way to go. The building coverage is half again higher than what's permitted, which is really what's, I mean, I just keep looking at that number. That's a big one. And the 6-foot fence where 4 is permitted. I mean, that's been gone over, but the thing that I keep going back to is that building coverage. Yeah, I'm gonna sit tight for now.
Blake?
I will echo most of the board's comments. Happy with the session as far as the shed, skid filter being relocated, the impervious coverage being under. But like most of the board members, I'm also having a problem with the coverage as well.
For me, again, I think the planner made a good point of types of building coverage, right? If what they've testified to is that when you open those doors, you're gonna come out and drop down 24 inches, that means the height of that deck is at 2 feet. So there is no building massing. The house proper with the enclosed porch is at the 30%. So this, to Mr. Davis's point, this truly is an outdoor living accessory, which you know, I think is beneficial in this type of lot, in this zone, along with the pool. I understand Mr. Dixon's point about the shed, but the shed at 10 by 10 is just a little over 1%, so that only moves us nominally. So to have it, I think, makes a lot more sense. Ben, one thing in terms of a condition, I think that is, let's talk about whether it can be added at this point, and if you guys object. But the way they kind of had their deck, if I looked at the photos right, it was kind of like a closed rail system, which created a box-in effect, and then I think that would go against what the planner testified to. I think it needs to be typical open deck railing, right? See how that is board on board? There's no separation of boards. So that does oppose what you were saying, that you're not getting some sort of structural item. If you put a deck there and you put rails on the deck,
Correct.
and there's no space between the rails, now you have a box around it, and it defeats the purpose of what would be open living space. So is that a fair one to put in even this late in the game? And
Oh, it's always the board's discretion right up until the time of the motion to add a.
any objection to having that open front?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's no objection to that.
Right. So having said that, I do think, when you took your little recess and you went out and you talked about some of the things that, you know, we were objecting to, you made those concessions. I don't think, I have a different perspective on the part of the deck that's wrapping around the back of the house. I understand that we're saying that it made those doors safer, but to me, that portion of the deck is like the least intrusive part of the deck on anyone, right? That's the part that's at the back of their house, up against no one except currently the neighbor who came in support of it. So, like, that part of the back deck is actually a nice accessory to the doors that mysteriously, and I know the gentleman said 13 years, then there was also the comment of 3 years. Whenever they were put in, there was some intent to not have to leap out of the house, and I guess it was this deck. But I think it's a good amenity as it wraps around to the pool, and the setup kind of works now. It is a little of a congested area, again, with some of the testimony of the neighboring commercial uses and things like that. So, having said the concessions, knowing that 16% of this or 15% of this is decking that is at a lower level, it's gonna have open rails, water's gonna be able to get through it, it's 50% on the impervious side. The shed is only 100 square feet, which is 1.2% or something. I'm okay with, again, supporting Mr. Davis, that outdoor living and having these kind of amenities is good for homes in the SF5 zone. The number's a bit crazy. I know Mr. Jackson's here, so I'm just gonna say, the number's crazy, but there's reasons for it in this case. Get a motion to close deliberations.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With said conditions, can we get a motion for approval?
I'll make a motion for approval of the application.
I'll second.
Motion by Secretary Davis, second by Ms. McFadden, to approve application 2025-20 of Lester Bianco and Elizabeth Smith at 400 Atlantic Avenue with conditions. Secretary Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon.
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds.
Yes.
Ms. McFadden.
Yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Mr. Clayton.
Yes.
Chairman Strachas.
Yes.
Application approved.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the board's time, and thank you for allowing us the time to recess.
Maybe I'll be back. Yeah, go. Of course. We're gonna take a 5-minute break.
the whole thing. And she's like, well, you lost a couple of little frequencies here and there.
Yeah.
You probably just need some strategy to it. Saying, can you switch positions so I can hear you better? This is a little bit of trick. You check out her site.
I will, for sure.
It doesn't
I
cost.
just got the.
So they test her, halfway through the test, the woman who's doing the test looks at me and she goes, is this just a ruse to get her?
So I can plug in. Yes.
It's amazing the technology.
I formal that.
I don't know how these guys built it.
It's gotta be like, it's gotta be like,
That's not
first
first
time
time.
I got my barcode.
That's the enemy. Yeah, that's somebody else.
That's like, everything just goes, whoop. Yeah, that took a little bit of adjustment. Right after the last misstep.
What number do you have?
That's funny.
Oh, mine does that too.
Yeah, it's funny trying to find the sweet spot with your rating thing.
And Brian said that. Brian was trying to
Get one of those big horns.
see how?
Roll call.
Sometime.
That ballot.
Reopen the meeting, roll call?
Secretary Davis.
Here.
Mr. Dixon.
Here.
Mr. Jones. Chairman Strunkus.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Mr. McGee.
Yes.
Mr. Blake.
Mr. Jackson?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, John Jackson on behalf of Pat and Denise Kelly. I'm here with Mr. Bob Burdick and Dean Daly. Housekeeping, if I can mark my PowerPoint presentation as A3, consisting of 11 pages. We're here for a house raise. Mr. Daly's done a nice design. We're seeking some relief, like we've had many times before. When the house goes up to meet the FEMA requirements, now the deck on the back, we seek to have that go up as well, so we can have a little bit of an outdoor amenity. We're adding parking, and we're, becoming FEMA compliant. So that's a little overview of the application. There's the house as it exists now. The cover is what, and right there on page 4 is what we hope it will look like when the board votes on this.
You skipped me.
What's that? I forgot you.
Yep.
Because you put me on second and last.
Yeah, I know.
You saved the best for last.
So with your permission, if we could have Mr. Burdick sworn, and he has his testimony in written format, he'll go through his,
Do you swear or affirm a testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do, Robert Burdick, professional engineer and planner. I've appeared before this board on several occasions.
Yeah, Mr. Burdick, we accept. Please proceed.
Fair enough. This project basically is for the raising and a second floor addition for an existing single-family home in the SF5 zone. This hatched area is the addition. The addition will be a second-story addition over the existing structure, and it is in a conforming location.
so just to go to look, what we're talking about is this feature right here. You want to show the feature they
Right. This area here.
All right,
Second floor addition.
back to your props.
Okay. Some of the other amenities that we're doing here, we have a shed that's basically off our property. We're moving that back on, some storm drainage
that's being placed in the plan, to comply with the borough's ordinance, and mitigate stormwater. Uh, Addressing Mr. Sabacool's letter of 10/28, paragraph 1 is a pretty accurate description of the project. Paragraphs 2 through 6 kind of goes through the variances. First variance I wanted to bring to the board's attention is that we have a side yard setback of 4.55 feet to the western side of the building. Since we're lifting this structure, the existing foundation is strong enough to handle the lift. We're not gonna change the foundation, but we need a variance for that because we're actually going up in a side yard setback. So we're requesting a variance for 4.55 foot where 5 feet is required. And it would be very much a hardship on the applicant to have to knock down his foundation and build it 6 inches over to comply with the ordinance. The second is rear yard setback. First rear yard setback is to the main building, and once again, it's 26 feet, it's supposed to be 30 feet. That's an existing condition to the existing structure, won't change. So to the house proper, it is 26 feet. However, one of the things that we're going to do in this area is we're gonna place a 10 by 10 deck on the northeast corner of the site. In this area of the home, at the northeast corner, there's sliding glass doors that currently go out to a patio which will be maintained as shown on the site plan. Since we're coming up, basically they're using that as they're going out the sliders and they're using that as basically outdoor living. We would like to continue that, but since it's gonna be above ground, now all of a sudden as part of the structure, we need a variance for that, and that variance would be for 16.5 foot offset from the rear property line, whereas 30 feet is required. The alternative to that, if it was chopped back, we'd still have to provide a access to it, and that would bring it in 6 feet, but any way we go, we're gonna need some variance back there in that corner. And again, that's because we're lifting this structure primarily to meet FEMA requirements, but we're also lifting it high enough to provide living there, basically garage and large storage areas underneath the site. But again, there's sliding glass doors here that firmly open up into a deck. We want to keep the deck because there's also going to be a door down there, but we would like to put a deck off the first floor in that area. We're requesting a variance for increase in building coverage, which the board just went through last time. The increased coverage is basically a function of having to comply with FEMA. Currently, our building coverage is the building itself and the shed. Right? Once we're done, we'll have the building, but we have a front entrance, which will now become part of the building. A rear entrance, which becomes a part of the building, and the shed, or the deck, and also the AC has to be elevated. So essentially, right now, we're at 37.8% coverage according to Mr. Sabacool's numbers, and the proposed number is 40.5% that we will be doing for building coverage. The additions again, the rear steps and deck are 150 square feet. The AC unit is 6 square feet, and the front unit is 90 square feet.
So, Mr. Burdick, when you lift, you're entitled to steps, right? Now, we're not building to the minimum height or required to, so technically we're over that, but if we did just lift to the minimum required, we get the stairs, right?
That's correct. And the board should be aware that the house currently, as it stands now, is 34%, so it's already over. By the shed adds a little bit to it, and then the additions for the lifting of it are a lot greater.
So really, the only thing is this relatively modest deck, as a lot of that compared to a lot of the other ones that we've seen.
Correct.
That's really
That's the only area that we're really asking the board to consider outdoor living here, sort of to mimic what they have now, because we're lifting the slabs. The third variance we're requesting is for impervious coverage. And I rechecked my numbers, and I think Mr. Savicle's letter is more accurate than mine. I think I left some stuff out in my initial calculations. But currently, the site is 68.6% impervious coverage, where 50% is allowed. Now, we're going to reduce that. Here's how we're going to reduce it. There's extensive pavers in the front yard that will be removed. That's 452 square feet. There's.
Tom, just
go
show
back.
you can see that.
Go back. There's a paver walk along the side of the building on the west side that will be removed. Get it smaller. Additional area, there's a couple planters in the front that will be removed, and there's part of a wood deck back in this area at the rear of the house, which will be removed. We will be removing, the elimination of planters is 72 square feet, the wood deck in the back is about 60 square feet, and the walk along the side is 186 square feet. So we'll be bringing the impervious coverage down to 55.5 feet, significantly less than what exists there now, but still requiring the variance.
Did you say 55.5?
55.5.
That's percent.
55.5% impervious coverage. Okay. Moving on to the question with regard to parking, we're adding a bedroom which increases technically from 2 parking spaces to 2.5, but the RSIS for residential allows you to round down, so we believe we're compliant with the residential site improvement standards. We do provide a garage and a full parking space in the front, plus about a half a parking space. This project does not affect public parking on the street, which during the Thanksgiving football game is helpful. With regard to paragraph 8, the AC is in the rear of the home at the northwest corner, and that will be elevated to elevation 13.
Bob, real quick, while you're on that, it looks like the rear elevation is showing French doors right there, where that elevated AC unit is.
I'm sorry?
Where the elevated AC unit is, it looks like we have French doors right there, so I guess that might just need to be shifted.
Yeah, that, okay, 50% impervious you're talking about? I'm not understanding.
No, sorry, if you look at the rear elevation,
Yeah.
it looks like there's French doors right where that AC unit is, so I think that may just need to be shifted and want to confirm that it's still in a compliant location.
Mr. Daly will address that.
Alright.
His point, sorry.
I know French doors, we get a little touchy with that. Steps are right.
Okay. With regard to the driveway, number 9, we do not plan to reconstruct the driveway, but we'll repair it wherever necessary. Paragraph 10, the existing shed is less than 10 feet in height, and it will be relocated to a conforming location. Paragraph 11, the architect will address the roof pitch. Paragraph 12, the proposed improvements are shown on the plan, basically lifting the home, adding a second floor living area in the southeast, the new deck in the northeast, relocating the shed and lifting the AC and constructing the recharge trenches along the sides of the home. Paragraph 13, the architect has designed the structure to conform with the borough, but he will address that item. Paragraph 14, for the granting of the variance, the board knows that must be assured that the advantages far exceed the disadvantages of allowing the deviation. For this project, we believe the disadvantages are minimal, since the applicant is essentially not changing the footprint of the building, and the addition is going in a conforming location. home will be, still 4.55 feet off that west property line, and it will go up, so that is a variance consideration. This is basically, again, a FEMA regulation requirement, to go up and make sure it complies with FEMA regulations. It's safer and it's better for the town's insurance rates as well. The other impact will be increased building coverage, but as stated, we believe most of that is directly proportional to the new increased FEMA regulations, with the exception really of the deck, which, again, we're just simply requesting that the applicant be allowed to utilize that area for outdoor living as it was before. The advantages of allowing the deviation will be numerous. They include a reduction in impervious coverage with a corresponding reduction in stormwater discharge. Plus, we're adding the recharge structures in accordance with the borough standards, which will further reduce stormwater discharge during flooding or during lesser floods. The plan will certainly provide a significant aesthetic improvement in accordance with the municipal land use law requirements. The plan will elevate the home above the above the FEMA requirements, thus adding a safety standard to the home. The home will be rebuilt to current code, again adding a safety standard and providing for better insurance compliance. Based on this, I believe the advantages of allowing deviations from the ordinance far exceed any disadvantages. I believe the plan complies with the borough's master plan by providing single-family home and a single-family home zone, and I believe that the plan complies with the municipal land use law in several aspects. And based on that, we would request the approval for the board for the variances.
So I just want to clarify a couple of things. So we're seeking C1 on the basis of hardship. We're in the FEMA zone, and we're seeking to elevate a home, right?
Correct.
So we have a hardship because we have a lawfully existing premises that we're looking to lift. So that gives us our 4.5 on one side and as well as our impervious coverage. That's the hardship.
Yes, sir.
So just clarify one thing you said. You said that you have to show the benefits substantially outweigh the negatives. That's for a C2. On a C1, you don't have to do that. Once you have a hardship, you just have to show that you mitigated the factors. So under C2, we're seeking also that we are creating a FEMA compliant house that advances the purpose of municipal land use law.
Yes.
And you also cite the aesthetic advantage.
That's correct.
So in that case, we do weigh that the positives have to substantially outweigh the negatives under C2. So in that case, you think the FEMA, becoming FEMA compliant, which benefits the community, or substantially outweighs the detriments associated with the setbacks and the building coverage?
Absolutely. I don't believe that there are very many disadvantages to this approval.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I have for Mr. Burdick, and then Mr. Daly will provide the architectural testimony.
Mr. Burdick, regarding the RSDI standard for the parking.
RSIS?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You made that based on how many bedrooms?
I believe it's 4 bedrooms and 2.5 parking spaces.
So we have 3 downstairs bedrooms and then the addition, making a 4th bedroom, and a room titled playroom, which could be a bedroom. So that would be 5, really. Would you not agree?
Mr. Daly will address that. He has the program as the owner, and I believe that we are prepared to address that in terms of what the layout is. So, the playroom, where are you referring to?
Second floor.
Second story.
You just went by, so, right there.
Right there.
The room up in the upper right corner called playroom.
All right, Mr. Daly will, oh, I see it.
That's an existing, that's the first floor, I believe. Correct? No. Again, I'll let Mr. Daly.
So my question then is, if we're counting that as a bedroom,
Counting that as a bedroom,
how does that
we
change
would
it?
require a variance for 2 official parking spaces versus 3 required. Just taking a look at the map, we actually have a driveway of 33 feet.
really you'd need 36 feet for 2 parking spaces, so we would be 3 feet short, which I kind of believe is de minimis.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Burdick? Good. Anyone in the audience have any questions? Mr. Jackson, we can bring Mr.
Mr.
Daly.
Daly, please come forward.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do. Dean J. Daly, testified before the board here.
Yes, we accept Mr. Daly's credentials, and Mr. Daly, it looks like the program you're using still looks like you can make it come out like pencil still. It's amazing.
Wonderful, isn't it?
The artistry of
Yes.
the pencil.
We were both old school and old. The board obviously is accepting Mr. Dilly, familiar with his work. Mr. Dilly, can you just give us an overview of the application? What was the program? What's the basic thing that we did? And then we'll talk about the aesthetics, and we'll address Mr. Dates' question about the number of rooms.
Right, so the Kellys purchased a house, it's their primary house now, moved down here, retired, couple kids, grandkids, needed to expand the house a little bit. Presently, it's a 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. There is the playroom is a playroom. I tripped over toys measuring it, so that's what we have. The plan also then is to, once we lift the house, it again will allow us to have the garage accessible, and then over that space now, since we're lifting, we would develop the first floor into a family room, so capturing some space over the existing garage. And then the second story, it's a modest addition. It's just for a master bedroom suite, which obviously new stairs going up, bathroom and bedroom and closet.
So there's no closet in the playroom. I know that's the trigger for realtors, right?
Correct. Eventually, but on the proposed plan, we are looking to put the washer and dryer up there, which is presently in the garage,
I'm sorry, where are you putting the washer and dryer?
in the play area.
Okay.
So the plumbing and everything will be set up for that there.
Yes.
So one of the things Mr. Burdick talked about, we're raising the house. Can you talk about what the existing flood elevation is and what the new flood elevation will be,
Right.
and how that's compliant?
Yeah, so we're in flood elevation at 9, so we need to be at 12. The existing concrete slab is at 7.7 elevation, and the existing first floor is at 9.61. So obviously we gotta go up to, if we just went up the 3 feet or so, we wouldn't be able to park below and have storage, so we needed to raise it up to the first floor at 16.57, so that we're out of the flood zone. And then we have ample parking below with the proper height, and then the infilling over for the new family.
All right, so the deck that we're adding, you designed a relatively modest deck, and you tried to, be constrained in your design, in
Right.
terms of not asking for a lot more relief.
Just enough so we can put a table on there, some chairs, and obviously we need the stairs off the back end to access egress, but yeah, it's a modest step.
Now, in light of the board's comments, just because the hour is getting late, if the shed were to be lost, would that be the end of the world for us, and if not, why?
Would not be the end of the world. Obviously, there's a lot of storage underneath now. If we remove that shed, we would drop the coverage down to, about 50, the impervious coverage down to about 53.64. We took the shed out, and we dropped the building down to about 38.64.
So that would be a little better, right?
Correct.
And then the only thing we'd really be talking about is this deck area right here. What's the dimension of that?
It's 10 by 10.
10 by 10, so that's not like, a big giant party deck. It's really, you go out, you have your coffee, maybe you have a
Correct.
little dinner table out there. So that's all the questions I have for Mr. Daly, Mr. Strange.
So, was that an offering, or
Well,
it's not the worst thing in the world?
It's not the worst thing in the world.
Because going from an existing 37 to 38 is a lot better for the board, and it doesn't eliminate, but it lessens the degree of that variance, and if the storage is now under the house amply, this gives
We would offer that.
Join them.
We paid very close attention to the last application, and so if the questions were, that might be a good idea.
I think we're gonna note that, Ben, is what I heard.
Got it.
Horseshoes it is. Plenty of room. Any other questions for the architect at this time? Anyone in the audience have any questions, comments on this case? Anything else you would like to say, Mr. Johnson?
That's our case, Mr. Chairman.
All right, can we get Ben to tell us, other than the removal of the shed, was there any other things that made the conditions list?
No, other than the items of compliance in the report that Mr. Burdick testified that they would comply with.
All right. Motion for deliberations.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, this is a nice little design, I like it. I think it makes sense in terms of flood compliance and safety and creating storage. I think it's modest in terms of just adding a partial upper story for some bedroom space. My comment regarding the playroom was really just about making sure we were accurately hitting the standard. The reductions in the impervious coverage were certainly very helpful. Overall, I think it's a terrific design.
Yeah, Mr. Daly did a nice job with the addition, not overblowing this whole property. It's a very modest addition, like Mr. Davis said. It's nice to see a French door, a sliding door actually go out to the deck. But the second floor, it would actually be the first floor deck on the back is very small, 10 by 10, just like they said, just something to have a nice little place to sit in the morning or later in the afternoon. So overall, I think it's a nice project. Becomes FEMA compliant, and it's not overwhelming the neighborhood, like McMansion type place, so it's a nice addition to the neighborhood.
All right, so the footprint's not changing other than the ingress and egress and the 10 by 10 back deck. I agree, we're getting the FEMA compliant, they'll help us with our railings. I honestly don't see anything we can do.
Ed?
I don't think I have anything to add to the previous speakers. I think it was a very good plan and very well presented.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I love the design. I think it's gonna add some nice aesthetic look to the neighborhood, and I'm gonna vote in favor of it.
Blake?
I'll make it quick. All in favor?
Nice.
Get a motion to close deliberations.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Get a motion with the stated condition for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. McGee, second by Ms. McFadden, to approve application 2025-32 of Patrick Kelly at 4 Revolution Avenue with conditions. Secretary Davis?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
Application approved with conditions.
Thank you, dude.
Good seeing you. Can you finish this one up in 10 minutes?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Here we go.
We do it in 9.
I'm just kidding. We will
Ready,
extend,
go.
we will
That's my
extend,
specialty.
we will extend past our normal 10 o'clock closure as needed to finish this case tonight.
Luckily, Mr. Chairman, I don't think we'll need to. If I may begin?
You can.
Thank you. For the record, John Jackson on behalf of the applicant, Riverwood LLC. I've never forgotten the words, any of the words of Mr. Strunches, but one time I remember him admonishing that, I don't want to, I feel as though I'm going to drive by this application when it's finished and feel sad if if I approve this. And I don't wanna drive by it, look at something and feel sad that I approved an application. And I think that's what we were, the direction we were heading in last time we were here. The proposed elevation is on the left side of the screen. That's the elevation that we showed. The board did not like that, and they were very clear. Actually, the one on the right was even our first iteration. And then I told my client, you know, you have to have a better design like there. And then when the board said they didn't like the middle one, or you didn't like the middle one, I'm sorry, the one on the left, I said, you gotta hire Mr. Amachenko. I think he'll be able to come up with a flair and design that the board will appreciate. So we're fundamentally in the same footprint. It's fundamentally the same case. Mr. Amachenko is going to describe some of the things. I won't steal his thunder or necessarily say it twice. So with your permission, if I could have Mr. Amachenko come up, be sworn, and show what he's done to make this house fit there.
Absolutely. Good evening.
You swear or affirm a testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Housekeeping, new PowerPoint, A4, I believe, consisting of 13 pages?
A5.
A5, oh, I lost track, thank you.
And we will just, for the record, state that we accept Mr. Amachenko, who's been here many times before.
Mr. Amachenko, I put your inlet design up, your new residence design. I can zoom in as you'd like as we look at that. Can you just tell us the overall elements, what you tried to do, and what we're looking at?
Sure. This is 41 Inlet Drive, and it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lots in this subdivision, for want of a better term.
So if, I know the board hates when I do this, but I'm gonna switch over to page 3 that just shows the aerial.
Yes. This is Lagrin Point Park. 41 Inlet Drive is right on the curve. 47 and 45 were designs that I did a few years ago, and we came before the board. The lots are somewhat small, and you know, that is 45 Inlet Drive. That was done several years ago, and subsequent to that, we did 47 Inlet Drive, which is next to that. And we've depicted those houses on the renderings. If you can go to the third page, keep going. So you can see in the background, that is 45 and that's 47. We had to come before the board, obviously, for use variance. We are in the ring commercial zone, where single-family uses are not permitted. However, there were single-family homes on these properties that were subsequently destroyed by Sandy, with the exception of the ranch house that's immediately to the south of the house that we're proposing. So I was asked to revisit this project, I guess, which has been before the board a couple of times, and I made some subsequent changes, substantial changes to the layout. Number one is that the prior plan showed 2 garage doors, but really only one curb cut, one access to it. So where we had a garage door flanking a center entry, I eliminated the garage on the left, recessed an entry, so that's our main entry now. We have a nice covering above that. And we took our stair element, our stair tower, and made that the feature element of the elevation. To provide 2 parking spaces to the right, we've created a new curb cut, and we have a garage. It's 18 feet deep, so it does allow for a car to be contained within that. And then in the balance of that, we have what I'm calling our carport. So we actually have 2 on-site parking spaces, whereas we didn't have that before. One of the things that we're wrestling with on this particular site, you can see the hatched area, and I'm sure this has been discussed before in front of the board. This is about 25 to 30% of our lot. So we're not allowed to effectively, this is a property line that we're not allowed to breach. So the house was taken specifically and moved to the east side of the lot. And in addition to the 2 parking spaces and the recessed entry, what we tried, you can see also, we have a bump out on the back that's going to allow us to provide an internal parking space for the owners of the house. So again, created 2 on-site parking spaces. We have 3 bedrooms, and that's our lease standard, so we are meeting that standard. We're doing a new curb cut here. There is no street parking where we're proposing this particular drive, so we're not impacting any off-street parking. In the design of the other 2 houses that I did on the property, we held to 4-foot setbacks on the side yards.
Page 3, where is that one?
Yeah. I use those in the other 2 instances as well, 4-foot side yard setbacks. What that allows us to do is it allows us to have windows, still meet the fire requirements for the amount of glass that we're allowed to have on that facade. And obviously we did bump out this element right on Channel Drive, so we're a little bit more than 4 feet from the property line at its closest point. Obviously, we have a curved property line, so this front yard setback goes anywhere from 8 feet to 4 feet to 8 feet. And you can see the 4-foot setback along the park side. We maintained a approximate 10-foot setback along the rear of the property, facing our neighbor to the north. Save for this bump out, which is about 6 feet off the property line, which gives us the parking space. Floor plans. So you can see the ground floor layout. The house is about 1,500 square feet, very similar to the other 2 houses that I designed. 45 Inlet Drive, which is the blue house. Immediately to the back, the lot area is 2597. We're 2421. We were granted a variance for building coverage for 45 Inlet Drive. We ended up at 44%. And the square footage of the house is around 1,550 square feet. 47 Inlet Drive, which is, I want to go back to the numbers, I'm sorry. Yeah. 47 Inlet Drive, which is the Miller residence. Again, the lot area there was 2,122 square feet. We were granted a variance of 48% for building coverage, and the square footage of that house on the upper 2 levels, I'm not counting the ground floor storage area or entries, was 1,433 square feet. So we check in, our lot area is 2,421 square feet, our building coverage is 39%, and our square footage is about 1,560 square feet. You go back to the floor plan.
So Mr. Chamchenko, just to clarify, those building coverages, you weren't really, they were use variances then, right?
Yes.
By that, so there was no true SF5. Were you comparing it to like an SF5? There is no real.
I'm not comparing it to SF5, I'm comparing it to the other 2 houses that I've already done on this particular location.
But then there wasn't a true variance for the building coverage. He's just using it as an example of, I had 44 here, 48 here, and then you're talking about 40 here. Yeah, just making sure.
Yep. So you can see, we have the 2 parking spaces, we have a recessed entry, we have our stair tower, there's an elevator that provides access to the upper levels, and a storage area. First floor. Come up the stairs, the elevator. So what we've done is, I noticed in the prior, the prior presentation, the prior design, there was a deck that wrapped around both this corner of the building, partially facing the inlet and partially facing our neighbor to the north. So what we've done is we reoriented that deck and made that orientation face the water, which of course is something that we always, architectural 101, we want to take advantage of the beautiful view and beautiful location that this proposed house exists in. So there's a kitchen, dining, living room, there's a gas fireplace, there's our elevator, we have a powder room, and we have an office. I do a lot of single-family homes for my clients, and an office space, people work from home. It's not unusual. There is no door shown on this. Certainly, this is really our coat closet. Speaking to my client, we'd be more than willing to do an open railing here into the stairwell, eliminate this corner completely, so that there's no pretext of this being a bedroom. There's never an
That's
attempt.
barely big enough for a bed, right? How big is that?
It's 6 foot, it's a little blurry, 6'5", and it's 11 feet overall to here. But to the edge of where my coat closet is more like about, I guess it's about 7.
So it's big enough for a desk, probably not a bed.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, the intention is not, we can't restrict what people do, obviously, when they move in, but the intention and the design can be such that the wall can be eliminated, so that it really functions as a coat closet and a space to put a desk, so that people can work remotely from home.
Well, we're proposing it like that. We can put that out there if someone does have a concern that it's become a bedroom. All right, so you want to address the second story?
Sure, so we have 3 bedrooms. Again, the elevator serves the upper level. We have our stair tower. We have 2 bedrooms on this side. And then we have our primary suite. Primary suite has a walk-in closet, a bath with a shower, windows facing the water. And we've done a recessed balcony here. If you can go back to the rendering. Yeah, so you can see we've taken that second floor, pushed it back. Obviously, the views are going to be spectacular, and we want to take advantage of them, provide those views for the primary suite, and we've taken that and oriented it more towards the ocean. Okay, we can go back to the floor plans. So that pretty much describes the floor plans. Again, the house is about 1,560 square feet, 3-bedroom. We're packed in tight, I get it. Third of the lot, again, is an easement that provides access to our neighbors to the north. And it's one of the reasons why we chose to park along the right-hand side rather than use the easement and then park along the western side of the house. Because you may be able to come in, and if you're do about 4 or 5 K-turns, you can get into a garage on this side, but then again, you can't park in front of it, because you'd be parking in the access easement that provides access to the rear lot. So those were kind of the choices that we made. The house complies with respect to building height, certainly FEMA compliant. We're up in the air. We're in the AE9 zone, and the house, the finished floor is in excess of 15, elevation 15, slab on grade construction. And again, if you go back to, so this is the shot that you have coming down Inlet Drive. We think it's an attractive house. It's got some nice characteristics, a little bit of stone, a little bit of flair.
I was gonna say, quick overview on your finishes, and you could probably sum it up from there.
Sure, I will. Shingles, composite shingles, asphalt, fiberglass asphalt roof, white columns, stone, white trim, all of those things that are consistent with shingle style, Jersey Shore style architecture.
Does anybody on the board have any architectural? Mr. Davis?
The bump out on the back side of the house for accommodating the parking, I believe. Approximately how far is that protrusion out from the mass of the house?
Yeah, it's right about 4 feet. I think this is 6 feet 4, and I believe this is almost 10 feet here. So this sticks out about 3 feet, 3.5 feet, 3 foot 8. something along those lines.
Have that shown in the elevation in the back?
Yeah. And again, we tried to take the orientation, the glass, the views, and take those more to the water side. That's where the view is. We do have some windows along the north face of the house. We have a door that gains access to that storage area. These are our dining room windows. Here's our deck, our covered deck. And but yes, to answer your question, it's about 3.5 feet.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any other questions? Anyone in the audience have any questions? This is question time, and then you'll be able to give us the feelings time, the comments afterward.
Question,
Your name and address.
Frank Domorowski, 45 Inlet Drive. 2 questions. Actually, you just answered the one, was the setback distance on the back of the yard, which is pretty tight. The second one is the location of the air conditioners. That there's 6 little lots there. If it's in the center, it's just a reverberation thing. So those are my questions.
Well, the condensers are located on the west side of the building. They'll be up on a platform, and we'll be putting railing around them to screen them. We could locate them to the rear of the property, but I think we can adequately screen them.
The new air conditioners are pretty good, too, right, as far as sound?
Yeah, they're much better than.
It's like, not like they were 20 years ago.
Correct.
We'll get high efficiency air conditioners that are quiet.
Any other questions? Any comments? You want to say anything about it at all, or you can come? You got to get sworn in for that, though.
Sure.
Come on up.
Do you swear affirm your testimony you give before the board will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do. So I do have 2 new air conditioners, and they're pretty loud. And if they're in the center of that thing, they're just going to reverberate. That's my opinion. So just from personal experience.
Center of what? I'm sorry.
So there's 6 little lots there, right?
Right.
It's 2 pie shapes. There's 2 on the back and 1 in the front. Where those are located, it's just in the middle, so that there's the center driveway, and they'll be right in the center of that. It's not the end of the world, just a thing. And then the setback on the back of the house, 6 feet. It's gonna shut off a lot of the view from really the Miller House and 45 going that way.
What if I could address that, go back to the floor plan, or the elevations actually are better.
These? Or,
Yeah, that's,
This is the part we hate. He said before, the part we hate, this is the part.
if you go to the elevation of the renderings, please.
the renderings, okay, the black and white ones.
Yeah, that's good. So, no, the color one's probably better. There you go. So this is the piece that's 6 feet from the property line. It's 1 story.
Yeah.
And
Can you move on this side so Mr. Davis, so everyone can see your front floor?
All right, yeah.
this is the,
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to, wait, I'm just trying to escape from here so I can zoom in.
there you go. Perfect. So this is the extension. It's 1 story. It's not the entire house. It's this bump out. The balance of the house is approximately 10 feet. That was unchanged, I believe, from the last presentation. So it's a 1-story projection that allows us to get parking within the than the structure.
And just for clarification, I think you said it was 3.5 feet?
Yeah, it sticks out about 3.5 feet from the main body of the house.
We like the design way better than the other ones, so.
Thank you.
Anyone on the board have anything else? Get sworn in.
Right here. Do you swear affirm the testimony I give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Your name and address?
Beth Dombrowski, 45 William Drive. I need to know about the air conditioners again. So
Well, we
can
can-
they be moved? Because when,
Yeah,
like
sure.
everyone.
I mean, my client, I'm sure would be willing to relocate them. Did you have the site plan now?
Okay, if I change it.
Yes.
Where are we? There we go. So we could either locate them in this quadrant here, behind the building, or over here, behind the garage, if that was amenable. You certainly don't want them on the front of the building. You don't want them on the water side. And again, they would be screened adequately.
And the thinner ones?
Excuse me?
Or they make them thinner than, not those fat ones, but thin.
Yeah. Well, I haven't selected those yet. Those are shown as your basic, 32-inch square cubes.
You have enough room back there with that easement?
Well, they wouldn't be able to go into the easement if the easement is still existing. These are to the rear of us, with the Dombrowskis on both of those lots. Originally, or probably still is 2 lots, and I think that's this odd shape, the way this extends into the property like that to gain access not only to this lot, but also to that lot. So it's a little, again, it's probably, what's the word, obsolete, this particular area of the easement. But if we can fit them, as you pointed out, that with perhaps more slender units, and you don't mind those facing your property, then I think my clients would be okay with that.
Well, it is really pretty. I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
Anyone on the board have anything else? Anyone else? Mr. Jackson, do you have anything?
That's our case, Mr. Chairman.
Ben, was there anything from you guys? Sean?
No. One thing, maybe more of a question for Joe, just, I know Ray wanted me to clarify the drainage and whether, he just wants to make sure the board, or the town is getting an easement for the drainage and it's gonna be relocated. Obviously, it's under where the proposed house is now.
Absolutely. So the plans that were submitted showed the drainage being relocated and within an easement. We will continue to do so as was the original approval. And I recognize I'm still under oath from
Yeah,
previous
just
hearings.
for tonight's record, just give the name.
Joseph Kashuba, KBA Engineering Services, Manasquan, New Jersey. So we are relocating that pipe that went through the center of the site, being relocated across and following the property line out to a new protrusion through the bulkhead, which was actually just recently replaced. It will operate in the same fashion as it does now, but yes, we show on the plan, you can even see it here, proposed 10-foot drainage easement. We will provide the municipality with an easement to allow for access and maintenance of the pipe.
Good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Earned your keep in the final minutes.
Three-pointer.
Still done?
I'm finished.
Get a motion to.
Time out. Is
Call
the air
time out.
conditioning a condition?
Oh, that they were gonna move it? I think we were gonna move it to that rear and get the units that'll fit, so, good job, Jay. Get a motion to close for deliberations.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Mr. Davis?
Well, design-wise, that is night and day. Once again, Mr. Almachenko, beautiful, beautiful design. I have only one struggle with this, and this is such a uniquely small lot. I don't know what the right size house is for this, but this still feels like a very, very large house on a very, very small lot. 6 feet off of the rear property line, it's a concern for me, for whatever comes to follow in terms of that empty lot back there. But I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say, how they feel about it.
Mr. Dixon?
Well, yeah, I had some of the same concerns Mr. Davis has, and I've had this argument before here, about the marine commercial zone down over by the inlet. It's never gonna be a marine commercial zone, it should be rezoned into some type of residential zone, whether it's like a bungalows or it's a story and a half. But anyway, I don't wanna continue on with that. My point is, in the marine commercial zone, the lot width's supposed to be 100 feet. This one's basically half. The lot depth's supposed to be 125 feet. This one's basically a little more than half. The front yard is 100 feet. This is only 80, and it goes on and on and on. Front yard setback supposed to be 25. This is 4. Rear yard setback supposed to be 25. This is 6. Side yard setback supposed to be 10. This is 4. So basically, it doesn't meet any of the requirements. Now, if you want to look at this as an SF5 zone type building, it doesn't meet any of those requirements either. And this is my argument about this area, which hopefully we will change.
You might know a guy.
What I do like about it is that Mr. Amichenko was able to compare it to the other houses here, even though we look at each place as an individual. What I do like about it is his building coverage is only 39%, where the marine commercial you're allowed 70%. So that's a plus to me. It's still way over what a SF5 would be, but it's way under what a marine commercial would be, obviously, because they don't have the room. The impervious coverage is sort of the same. I mean, in SF5, you're allowed 50, he has it down to 44. So we did some good juggling there to try to make it as small as possible on that little postage stamp lot. So I'm not happy about the whole lot pretty much, just say the whole lot being filled with house. I mean, 5 foot, 5 foot, 4 foot, 4 foot tall. I mean, I'm not thrilled with that, but this is what's been we've been allowing over there. And most of those houses over there on that inlet have been doing the same thing. And until the zoning gets changed, I'm sure it's just gonna continue this way. So overall, from what I can see, they worked pretty good to try to make it around the same size as the other house. And they didn't go crazy with actually covering the whole thing. So as of right now, I'm not happy, but I don't have a problem.
Mr. Riddle?
All right, so quickly, we were faced with a square box deal design. This design meets what we normally would look for. It looks nice, it's got different shapes of the cuts. Unfortunately, my ship has sailed, because if I had my builders, it'd be an empty lot all around the whole corner. But it's not, so I lost that battle already. It's beautiful, and it'll fit in there, so.
Ms. McFadden?
I think Mr. Dixon basically said exactly what I would have said. You know, we're putting a lot of house on these lots, but that said, they did well with the coverage, and it's a beautiful design, and I'll keep it short and stop there.
Mr. McGee?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, we've done this several times before, and I feel like we've had the same yeah, I'm using my words now, same deliberations several times before. It's a lot of house on a very small lot, but as the hand we've been dealt there, it's a marine commercial zone that's never gonna be used for marine commercial. You could probably put 3 Boston Whaling Montauk's on that lot if you wanted to do marine commercial and not make enough money to maintain the lot. It's a beautiful design, as is expected, every time, and it's really congested it, but I mean, it's kind of like that beach bungalow zone that we did with the lot too. It's a lot of house, they're close together, but like I said, it's the hand we've been dealt, it's consistent with the other homes right there, so, yeah, I'm inclined to move in favor.
Mr. Clayton?
Short, beautiful design, but I'm on the fence with Mr. Dixon's, comments, plus how big the house is, and I'll hear what the chairman has to say.
appreciate reading down the list of the zoning requirements and all the widths and all the things, but those are all zoning requirements for things that would be amenable in this marine commercial district. This is not. We know that this lot is unusable for that, as Mr. McGee said. It's just too small to carry any of those approved uses for marine commercial, so all of it really gets thrown out the window. And to Mr. Dixon's point, the fact that we don't have a set of standards to measure against, I think we start to do what we believe is right for the zone in terms of accommodating a structure that's not overwhelming in size, which at 1,500 square feet, I don't think it is. It does take up a lot of this postage stamp lot, yes, but the lot dimensions are the lot dimensions, and the house is, you know, how much smaller could it really go? I don't know. To be a modern, new design in 2025. Again, I think the critical piece to this is that marine commercial is just completely out the window, right? We can't have any of those uses, and there were homes here before, and this is the kind of home that we see that goes up that's flood compliant. You know, the standards now that you have to be up in these 15 feet off the ground to begin your construction is just I know it's difficult for everybody as we see it happen around town. It's just the change is there, and I think the change is continuing to be worse, right? That's coming still in 2026, where we're moving on up even further, because that's what the state has decided. So again, I think it's modest. And then the other thing that we try to do as we kind of gut check it for the aesthetics, and I think we did that through 2 meetings. So I no longer am feeling any sadness of the design, Mr. Omachenko, thank you. I will still have those 4 or 5 places in town over my 20-something years doing this that I'll be sad. If anybody wants to jump in the car someday, I can show you those, Mr. Omachenko, that might benefit you. Actually, it won't, because none of them are yours. You do fine. So I just think it's the appropriate thing for, like was said by Mr. McGee or whatever, it's the hand we were dealt, right? And this is a good fit for me, at least. Get a motion to close deliberations.
Second.
All in favor?
Air conditioning unit moved, that was the only one. Get approval with the said condition, and then like Ben's been saying all night, all the other things that have been addressed throughout the hearings and the thing with the drainage and all that, get that motion for approval.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Vice Chair Reynolds, second by Ms. McFadden, to approve application 2025-16 of Riverwood LLC, 41 Inlet Drive with conditions. Secretary Davis.
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Vice Chair Reynolds?
Yes.
Ms. McFadden?
Yes.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Clayton?
Yes.
Chairman Strauss?
Yes.
Application approved with conditions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn?